Here we are. Good afternoon. Welcome to another Kerfuffle. Sorry, another Kerfuffle. We're going Kerfuffle. We're going another Kerfuffle showcase. Paul, ignore all that. We'll edit all that out. Don't worry. This is live, but that bit won't be. Welcome, Paul. Yuno, CEO and founder. How are you today?
I'm very well, Simon. Thanks very much.
Thank yourself. There'll be more of that seamless excellence as we go through the show. Paul, today you've given us a lovely title here, and I don't know whether you did this just for me, whether you're mocking me a little bit, but it's just, does property compliance and licensing give you a headache? You know it does, so I'm hoping over the course of the next half hour you're going to solve that for me.
Oh dear. Well, if I can convince you, I can convince anyone. That's fine.
I don't know whether that was an insult or a compliment. I'll just ride it out as I always do. Okay, Paul, give us the vision behind why you set up Yuno. Give us just a bit of that background, if you don't mind.
Yeah, certainly. We started off as a kind of consultancy company, as most kind of like compliance agencies do, and we supported various agencies, Douglas and Gordon, Marsh and Parsons, etc. And then we just realised that there was a problem with the agency model when it came to compliance, when it came to trying to get data from lots of different councils all into one place. So yeah, Yuno was born from that. Was the hardest part of the situation is that you've got lots of conflicting data from lots of different councils, and basically trying to get yourself as the business owner to understand it, but subsequently your property managers or your branch managers and extended teams so that they can give all the right advice at all times and you can track what's going on. So yeah, we could quite easily you pass as a landlord and we could look after them for you and take them through a journey, but it's complicated, it's slow, it's confusing for all parties, there's a handover process, etc. So the idea was just to empower the agent to have one platform that we can store all this stuff on. They can learn on the platform, they can train on the platform, they can deliver advice from the platform, and as I say, all the confusing things about lots of different councils' data sets for licensing and Article 4 to generis plan and permission is all in one platform.
Got you. So the single platform thing comes across there, obviously a number of times. Paul, I keep hearing that council point. Can this issue be summarised as literally laying the feet of the councils, or is it more complex than that?
What do you mean by that? Sorry?
You talk about that complexity about having to deal with just so many different councils to get this data from and everything else there. Is that the crux of the issue, or is it far more complicated than that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not just that. So there's issues right at the root of everything that is property data as well. So our systems uses UPRNs, unique property reference numbers. So I don't know if you heard about that, but basically it's like a car reg plate for a house, and it's kind of like one source of truth for property addresses. So no longer upper floor flat, top floor flat, flat 2A, flat A, flat B, flat C, flat D, whatever the hell it's supposed to be. It's one number basically. So you have one number with an address. So starting with that is figuring exactly, we're both talking about the same property, and then obviously figuring out there's kind of government-wide rules, there's local councils rules, there's guidance issues. Do we listen to Lakehouse guidance, or the British standards guidance? I think I know this, but you knew something for this council, but you didn't know it was different in this council. Or just because you now have a shared tenancy agreement rather than individual tenancy agreements, so much changes, and why does that change? Or it changes. I mean, the ridiculous example we use, which is instead of like, oh, the property has 3 stories or 5 stories or whatever it's supposed to be, does the property have a blue door? And like it changes on so many factors, that it was primed to be controlled and logicked out on a platform basically, and then as I say, once you've used a platform like this, you'll not go back to the old kind of researching yourself, trying to figure it out, etc.
So what's your background, Paul, and how did you get into sort of property and compliance?
Oh, that's exciting. So I was
questions here.
I was in the oil industry, and another like really boring, detailed job where I did something called fiscal metering. So we analysed mass flow and composition of the oil and gas extracted from wells, which sounds complicated. There was chromatographs and flow meters and all this stuff. But basically, it was me with little screwdrivers and lots of like small calculations with small tolerances. And there's a lot of compliance to do with that as well, a lot of safety requirements because of the industry. So yeah, came to London, did property development, realised that was too cool for me, back to compliance related stuff, and then just supporting our partners through the stuff that like agents and letting agents, and they are go-getters, like they go there, they're out there to sell or to impress clients, etc., etc. You need the geeks. That's what we have. We've got a platform of digital geeks and real geeks of qualified, experienced, accredited experts to kind of solve the problem. So I suppose, yeah, we're the geeks of the industry, basically.
This is the age of geeks, though, isn't it? In a wonderful way.
We're taking over.
The geeks have inherited the earth, and long may it continue there. And where did the vision come from? Because where did the original idea? Where did that come from, Paul?
Yeah, I get it was. I mean, ultimately, it was around the problems that we saw in the industry and how to solve them. Like we're going where we'd like to go is. Basically, if you run a business with inside property, you'll be able to use our system to identify the compliance steps that you need to take. And that could be in lots of different forms. So really simplifying all the way down. Of course, right now it's in the private rented sector, but ultimately you have also a little journey. You've always got a journey to go on, and we're looking to see if we can introduce maybe a star rating or something like that, and looking at like, okay, here's the minimum that you need to do to let a property. Okay, now you need license. Okay, now you've got 2 stars. Now you've got through your planning, you've got 3 stars. And then you have these kind of grey areas where it would be great to make sure that you've used this sort of person with this sort of accreditation at all times. You make sure that you've ticked all these kind of things off, which are buried inside legislation, which aren't really that complicated, but really just creating that kind of industry standard across the whole industry that goes, okay, this means this, and this is the kind of rating that you have in your property, which is then accessible by landlords, agents, tenants, etc., and hopefully driving more value to agents that are looking to create compliant portfolios, basically.
It's just about efficiency, saving time, admin, and everything else there. And without that triple whammy of elements there, all at a very cost-effective point, you should really be reaching out to Paul and just asking him if you've got obviously interest in this area.
Yeah, thanks, Simon. I really appreciate it. Thanks for the kind words.
Not a problem at all. You have a fantastic day. And look, your 4G held out, and my Virgin and the engineers outside stopped going at it with the power tool. So everything's good.